Where were we? Let's get to, we got Elsa here. Wow. Elsa, you said that you did have a disagreement, Elsa. You said you're not a huge fan of oversimplification and inflammatory language. Is this directed at me or Andrew or both?
Honestly, neither. I've only seen very short clips of the show.
Okay, so this.
But in general, not a fan of oversimplification.
Well, was there like a specific clip or something you saw? Was it something Maddie said? Maddie's got some hot takes. She's been canceled multiple times.
Yeah, I actually.
Just kidding.
I got haters.
Actually, I was told that Adrian was like, my friend Adrian, who was on the show, she was like, Maddie's super cool. Look for Maddie. So, I learned about you today.
Scoot your mic that way and tilt it
down.
To the
left? Yes. Tilt it to the left.
No, like push it.
Over here. Okay.
There you go.
And then tilt it down a little bit, but go ahead.
No, not directed at Maddie. Is this better?
On the oversimplification front, earlier when we were talking in generalities, isn't that oversimplification?
Definitely, yeah. We both got into that.
Yeah,
we both got into generalizing.
What's wrong with here's an oversimplification. Men generally prefer to date women prefer generally to date men who are taller than them. That's an oversimplification, right? That's true.
My challenge with oversimplification is it makes for great clickbait, but when you actually work with real people, those aren't usually the situations that occur. Like, of course, in general, most women would prefer to date someone who makes more money than them. In general, most men prefer to date someone who's younger because she's probably more attractive. But those oversimplifications don't hold true when you actually apply theory to practice. So because I've worked with so many men over the years, those aren't the situations that I see. Normally people date more or less people who are in their vicinity, who are usually a similar age range, similar socioeconomic status. So that's my problem with it, but I do think that it makes for a more spicy and interesting conversation.
Really? So even on the micro, the men that you're working with, you don't tell them that women prefer taller men?
Well, not if they're not. No, women do prefer that, but a taller man is relative. An average woman is 5'2", so a taller man for an average woman.
It's not relative. It would be anything taller than 5'2", right? Anything taller than her wouldn't be relative. So if she was 4'9",
what I mean is that I'm 5'7", and for me, a taller man is technically a man who's 6 feet. Although historically, I've dated
a taller man would be somebody who's
5'8" or 5'8", whatever. Most of the guys I've dated are my height, but where was I going with this?
But you would prefer a man who is taller, right?
Honestly, before I moved to the States, I did not even know this was a thing because I didn't grow up here. So in Lebanon, where I'm from, men are not tall. The average man is a little bit shorter than I am. So that wasn't really an option. So I didn't really see it as a preference. It was after I moved here.
The average Lebanese woman is much smaller than the average Lebanese man.
True. So, but when I moved here and I realized that was like a collective preference, that's when I started to notice that people even really cared about that. I think from my work, what I've seen is that women want a man they can feel safe with, but he doesn't have to be bigger than her in height. He can be bigger than her horizontally in stature.
I know, but I get it that on the micro you can do all sorts of self-improvement as a man who is shorter. You can get buffer and what they call looks maxing, all that. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't change the fact that most women are still going to prefer if he's taller than her.
If they had the option, definitely yes.
Yeah,
if all
definitely.
things are,
so,
if all things are
like
equal, then yes.
Oversimplification that's just also true.
Well, the rest of that sentence was oversimplification and inflammatory language. So an oversimplification in and of itself might not be a problem, but when it's married to inflammatory language, it can be.
Wait,
but
I'm not.
But at the same time, when I first started my TikTok, I believe the reason why I went viral so often is because I was extremely inflammatory. I was just extremely condescending, and I had a lot of hot takes on a lot of hot topics, and it was fun because I was relevant. Now that I'm a little more nuanced, my engagement has definitely gone down because nuance is boring for a lot of people. It's not as
Why can't you be inflammatory with nuance?
I mean, how would you do that? Give me an example.
Of a nuanced take, which is also something which is inflammatory?
Like what?
Let's say,
What's an
let's say
example?
you say, well, it can be situational whether age gaps are appropriate or not, but you think that they're perfectly acceptable, right? So that's a nuanced take, but at the same time, it's inflammatory.
That doesn't sound inflammatory to me, unless I missed something.
How is it not? It's one of the things most argued about that I've seen in these dating spaces, whether or not age gaps are appropriate or not appropriate. You can have the nuanced take of, yeah, I think situationally they can be, but generally I'm against them, and here's why. It can definitely be inflammatory with a nuanced take.
Well, we might just have a different definition, because I actually think that's a nuanced. I think that's a nuanced take.
Yeah, it's nuanced, but also inflammatory. You're still saying the same thing, right? You're still saying, no, I think age gaps are fine.
But the way you're
kind of
saying
a nuanced reasoning for that, right?
But the way you're saying it is nuanced. So it's kind of like when you said
I get it.
earlier.
I get
You
it, but I'm
said
saying it's still inflammatory, right?
earlier you said like older men would prefer a younger woman because she's attractive, and that to me is not an example of inflammatory language, because I actually agree.
Well,
I think it's like
what would be inflammatory then? How would you make that inflammatory?
it's a good question. Probably by saying something like women over 35 are completely doomed, so they should probably just go and give up. Like that to me would be inflammatory, because it lacks nuance.
I mean,
the nuance
that's
statement.
That's just kind of lying, though, right?
But those are the kind of clips that get a lot of traction. Is like the 35-year-old woman is screwed. She's got no chance. I think the nuanced take is the younger woman probably has a lot more options of men for sure, but the non-nuance is just like, let's just write off every woman over 30. Well,
I mean, why not? I mean, you're just talking about clickbait, though, really.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you can still have the clickbait and then still give the nuanced take, can't you?
I argue that you
Isn't that what
can't.
almost everybody does? They have the clickbaity title thumbnail, and then they give the nuanced take after you click on it?
The clickbaity hook, yes.
Yeah. It seems like you could do that.
I mean, just going back to your thing here, you said not a huge fan of oversimplification and inflammatory language. Was there an example that you wanted to talk on or that you saw?
There probably was, but it might not even been from you guys. It might have been from like one of the women on the show. I honestly can't remember, because this was probably like, this was a while back.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
No, can't remember. But it's not necessarily like you as the host. I was just the dynamic of the conversation. That's probably something I was referring to.
Okay.